All right, now to the latest developments in the murder trial against A.J. Armstrong. The jurors finally got to see evidence up close that prosecutors say was used to kill Don and Antonio Armstrong Sr. in July of 2016. This is the third trial where they claim the middle son killed them.
This trial has a lot of moving parts, and we have a whole team working on our coverage that we are calling The Bench. KPRC2 reporter Rowan Balogan and investigative producer Jason Wynn are two people on that team. Guys, what's the latest with today?
Daniela, Keith, as things were preparing to wrap up, it really got intense inside the courtroom just before the day wrapped up itself. Jason, you were inside for this part while I was out here getting ready for our 4 o'clock live shot. What was happening?
Well, first of all, they called a new witness because all day we've been talking about alarms and how important the alarms were for the Armstrong house, and we covered a lot of history there. But then we got to see the first crime scene investigator from Houston Police. His name was Jimmy James, and Jimmy James was called upon to talk about what he saw that night, and he started talking about the note. And this is right when you see John Jordan, the prosecutor, put on a pair of black gloves, and then he goes into the evidence box and he pulls out the evidence, and there's the note that was left on the counter that night that said, "I've been watching." And he went around to each juror and he showed them the note, and it was on a little poster board, and he asked Jimmy James, he was like, "Hey, was this the note that you found on that counter that night?" He said yes. And then came another magical moment. He pulled out the gun that was right next to the note. He first had the bailiff check it to make sure it wasn't loaded, because that's very, very important. And then he went down again to each juror, showing them the gun. The next thing that he showed was the bullets that were found in Antonio Armstrong Sr.'s drawer. And inside that drawer was obviously the gun case that was supposed to house that gun, and there was 2 sets of different kinds of bullets. So he pulled those out along with a clip that held those bullets, and then he showed each one of the jurors again. And this was something he
showing
did.
them the gun.
After the gun, he showed the bullets. And this is something he did every single time he pulled out another piece of evidence. And then the last thing that he pulled out right before the break were the pillows that were placed right on top of Don and Antonio Armstrong's head. And he actually pulled them out of the box. And before he did that, Rick Toto wanted to go see how those pillows were going to get picked up. We saw this all trial. The attorneys both like to see the evidence that's being presented to the jurors.
And so what they do at that point is, if, say, they're looking directly at the jurors, one or the other side will ask the judge, "Hey, can I approach just to see what's happening?" And this is what Rick did.
Exactly. So John pulled out those pillows, got Jimmy James to say, "Are these the pillows?" He said yes, and then he showed them to each one of the jurors. And that's kind of a big deal in this trial, because that is one of the things that Rick Toto brought up during opening statements. And tell me more about why that plays a factor in this case.
The pillows, the box that the pillows were in that Rick was looking at, is important because it goes back to Rick's opening statements that we talked about Tuesday. Is when Rick had a red pepper flake shaker, dousing it on himself, trying to let it be shown and known that, hey, look, it's all falling down as soon as it touches on me. That's important because
and that was also the time that he had the sticker on him as well, because that HPD sticker plays a big factor, and he was using those red pepper flakes to kind of show there might be something there.
And it's all become relevant because of the KPRC2 Investigates reporting about the DNA that was found on the sticker the night of that AJ was interviewed. It was found 7 years, so just recently, last month.
It was just found, and that was the reason why we went on a month-long delay. I mean, in theory, this trial should be over if it wasn't for that new DNA evidence, and that was 2 blood specks that was found on the sticky side of that sticker. So that's why it's a big flashpoint right now. And Rowan, I just want to point out that there was a juror that was also there. And when John was walking through with those pillows, he scoffed. It was loud. It was audible. And you could see this. And then he quickly turned to AJ and tried to lock eyes with AJ. And you could just see that there was a moment there between him and trying to figure out where's AJ at? What's his state of mind?
And that's important to note, that we're all trying to observe the jurors. That we can't talk to them, they're not talking to us. So we're observing their mannerism, what they're doing, the reactions to any of the testimony, or the attorneys asking questions of any witnesses that might be at stand. Question for you, as they wrap things up, what do we expect will happen tomorrow morning?
Well, tomorrow's going to be a big deal because, you know, right before the jurors broke, you know, John's got both pillows in his hands, you know, and Rick's standing at the box and he's looking in the box. And all of a sudden you see Rick smile. And I don't know what that means for a defense prosecutors, but I saw that. I notably saw that. I was sitting away from the media. I like to sit on the other side just so I can see. And you know, most of the media sits on the left side, right closer to the jury. I sit a little bit more center to the far right, just so I can see reactions of the jury, reactions of the attorneys, and everything else. But when Rick smiled, he wanted to quickly make a motion, and he was like, Judge, I need to make a motion. Well, Jordan's got these two pillows in his hands, and one of the things that the judge was like, can I excuse the jury first? So she let the jury leave, and then that's when Rick came out and said, Judge, I need this motion to be heard. There's a dry blood speck at the bottom of this box. He was like, I want to save this and as evidence, and he's like, we can take pictures of it, but there is a dry blood speck at the bottom of the box.
Did the jury come back at any point during any of that point?
No,
Okay.
This was all outside the presence, so they wanted to make sure that they preserved this box. So John Jordan and his team, well, they had to find a new box. And so Jordan was sitting there holding those pillows until they can find a brand
so the
new
entire
box.
time with those gloves?
Yeah, just holding the pillows, and he had to wait until he found a box, put those away, so that they could all leave for the day.
Wow.
Yeah, so tomorrow, it's probably going to be Science Day because there's going to be a lot of talk about those pillows, AJ's clothing, the sticker will probably pop up again. So we're going to probably see more testimony, more crime scene techs come in and talk about all of this.
And this will all start tomorrow morning at 8:30. That's Jason Wynn. I'm Roman Balogan. We'll both be inside tomorrow. Reporting from downtown Houston, Roman Balogan, Jason Wynn, KPRC 2 News.